The grand chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with murmurs and subdued laughter. At the center, a massive holographic screen displayed an image of Earth's most advanced starship, the FS Defender. To the gathered alien representatives, the vessel appeared almost laughably tiny. Ambassador James Walker stood firm, his posture unwavering despite the ridicule. His gray suit felt constricting around his neck as he faced the towering aliens seated on elevated platforms. The chamber itself, with its soaring ceilings and colossal architecture, seemed intentionally designed to make visitors feel insignificant. "You expect us to take these toys seriously," boomed Council Leader Dax, his enormous, purple-skinned form leaning forward. His multiple eyes blinked with apparent amusement. "The vessel you present is scarcely larger than our cargo shuttles." Walker kept his voice calm. "Size isn't everything, Council Leader. Our ships are equipped with what?" interrupted another council member, Representative Mock. "Your species has only recently achieved faster than light travel. Your ships are primitive, minuscule, and pose no significant threat." The subtle slip did not escape Walker's notice. His gaze narrowed briefly, though his demeanor remained composed. Behind him, Captain Robert Stone of the Defender clenched his fists but stayed silent, having anticipated resistance, though not this level of condescension. The quiet hum of the chamber's air filters underscored the tension. Walker took a steadying breath. "We seek peaceful cooperation, not conflict. While our technology may still be young, Earth has developed unique innovations that—" Laughter erupted again, cutting him off. A tall insectoid alien clicked its mandibles in amusement. "Look at their weapon mounts. They resemble the stingers of an infant pest." Walker's face grew warm, but years of diplomatic training held his expression neutral. His eyes flicked to the hologram of the Defender. At only 300 meters long, it was diminutive compared to the kilometer-long dreadnoughts of the Council species. Yet what these aliens failed to grasp was that every meter of the ship was packed with human ingenuity. Council Leader Dax raised a massive hand for silence. "Ambassador Walker, we have reviewed Earth's petition for membership. While we welcome your planet as a protectorate, you must understand that full membership requires certain standards to be met. Your fleet is simply inadequate." The way he said protectorate made Walker's skin crawl. Through his earpiece, Captain Stone's voice murmured, "Sir, military intelligence needs to hear this." Their body language. Walker gave a subtle nod. He had noticed it too. Beneath the mockery, there was a predatory glint in the council members' eyes as they evaluated Earth's ships, not just dismissing them, but sizing them up as a potential threat, one they believed was easily neutralized. "We appreciate the Council's consideration," Walker replied carefully. "Earth will review the membership requirements. However, I remind you that we are a sovereign species, not a protectorate." Of course," Dax replied with a too smooth smile. "We would never suggest otherwise. You may return to your vessel. Our official response will be forwarded through proper channels." As Walker and Stone left the chamber, laughter followed them, louder and unrestrained. Back aboard the Defender, Walker loosened his tie and gazed at the massive Council ships orbiting above. "Send a priority message to Earth Defense Command," he instructed Stone. "Tell them to initiate Protocol Omega." Stone's eyes widened. "You think they're really planning to?" "They're not even hiding it anymore," Walker said grimly. "They see us as weak and primitive, a mistake others have made throughout human history. And it always ends the same way." 3 months later, Earth's orbital shipyards were a hive of activity. Captain Stone stood in the observation deck of Luna Base, watching as workers swarmed over a growing fleet of ships. Earth was quietly preparing for war. "Status report," he called to the command center. Officer Tom Miller replied, "New combat systems are being installed across the fleet. The Council still believes it's routine maintenance." Stone nodded. On the main display, the Defender appeared mid-upgrade. What seemed like simple armor plates were, in reality, housings for advanced missile systems. Any word from our spies? Yes, Sir, Miller said darkly. The Council is calling it the pacification of Earth. Their fleet plans to protect us 3 weeks from now. Stone clenched his jaw. Protect us right into servitude, you mean? Admiral Reed entered the room, his presence commanding attention. At ease, he said, waving the officers back to their tasks. He joined Stone at the viewport. A beautiful sight, he said, watching a ship power up its engines. The Council sees cargo vessels and patrol ships. They have no idea what we've done with them. Will we be ready in time, Sir? Stone asked. We have to be, Reed replied, pulling up a holographic map of the Council fleet's positions. Their massive dreadnoughts are gathering here. Each one could swallow 10 of our ships. Size isn't everything, Stone muttered, echoing Walker's words. Reed smiled faintly. Our new tactics will prove that. Let me show you. He led Stone to a simulation room where captains practiced combat maneuvers. On the main screen, human ships darted around a massive alien vessel like a swarm of angry bees. We call it the Wolfpack Protocol, Reed explained. Instead of one-on-one battles, our ships fight in groups. While their main guns focus on one target, the others strike from blind spots. Stone watched the simulation in admiration. They're so used to fighting large ships, they never developed effective point defense systems. Exactly, Reed agreed. And our upgraded fusion drives give us 3 times their maneuverability. Their targeting systems can't keep up with anything this fast. An alarm interrupted them. Sir, Council scout ship approaching Luna orbit, Miller reported. Everyone, look busy with routine work, Reed ordered. Let them see exactly what they expect to see: a primitive fleet conducting basic repairs. The Council scout ship passed overhead, its sensors scanning the shipyards. Stone imagined the smugness of its crew. Message from Earth Defense Command, Miller added. Ambassador Walker just ended his final communication with the Council. They're still treating us like children. Perfect, Reed said with a sharp smile. The more they underestimate us, the better. As the Council continued to overlook Earth's fleet, preparations for the inevitable confrontation neared completion. Quietly, humanity prepared to prove that survival on a death world had forged a species far deadlier than anyone realized. Weapons hidden within the hull could penetrate a Council dreadnought's formidable armor, engines that outmaneuvered their fastest ships, and crews trained to face overwhelming odds their entire lives. The storm was approaching, but this time, humanity was prepared. The piercing alert sirens jolted Captain Stone awake at 0300 Earth time. Council ships detected entering the Sol system, the computer announced. 3 dreadnoughts, 15 cruisers, multiple support vessels. Within 5 minutes, Stone was on the bridge of the Defender, the tactical display confirming their expectations. The Council had sent a fleet they deemed sufficient for containment. 3 massive dreadnoughts, each over a mile long and armed to devastate planets, led the formation. All hands to battle stations, Stone ordered. Begin Operation Paper Tiger. Across Earth's orbit, 30 human ships powered up their engines. To the Council's fleet scanners, the human ships seemed to scatter in chaotic disarray, like frightened prey. Council ships broadcasting, Sir, reported the communications officer. They're ordering us to stand down and prepare for protective occupation. Stone smirked. Send the prepared response. Make it sound desperate. A trembling voice was broadcast back, pleading for time to discuss terms. On the tactical display, Stone watched as the Council fleet spread out, forming a containment pattern around Earth, exactly as predicted. They're taking the bait, Admiral Reed's voice confirmed over the secure channel. All ships, execute Phase 1. The human fleet feigned panic, splitting into groups. Some ships fled toward Mars, others disappeared behind the moon. The Defender and 4 other ships staged a mock defense, clustering around Earth as though bracing for a hopeless stand. Through the bridge windows, Stone watched one of the dreadnoughts approach the Starhammer, a behemoth bristling with glowing weapon ports and clad in heavy armor. "Council fleet broadcasting again," the communications officer said, barely suppressing a grin. "They're laughing at us, sir." "Let them," Stone said, checking the countdown timer. "All ships report status." One by one, scattered human vessels reported in. Each had maneuvered into carefully calculated positions, concealed within radar shadows of debris fields, asteroids, and orbital stations. The Council fleet, confident in their impending victory, hadn't noticed the strategic placements. The Starhammer's commander broadcast a message across all channels. "Primitive humans, your pitiful resistance is noted. Prepare for..." Now Stone commanded. Simultaneously, 30 human ships moved into action. The Council fleet, stretched thin to surround Earth, had underestimated the reach and power of their adversaries. "Wasp missiles full spread," Stone ordered. "Target their blind spots." From the Defender and its companion ships, hundreds of small, precise missiles launched. The Council's point defense systems, designed to track massive targets, faltered against the barrage of tiny, agile projectiles. The Starhammer's commander was still mid-sentence when the first impacts breached their shields. "Multiple hits detected," the tactical officer reported. "Their starboard shields are down." Chaos erupted in the Council formation as more missiles struck from unexpected angles. The Starhammer's once impenetrable armor cracked under the assault. "They're trying to regroup," Admiral Reed reported. "Don't let them. Wolfpack teams, engage." The tactical display lit up with activity. Human ships, darting like swarms of wasps, exploited the Council's inability to track smaller, more agile targets. The Council's enormous weapons, suited for massive battleships, were useless at such close quarters. "The Starhammer's reactor is critical," the sensor officer called out. "All ships clear the blast radius," Stone ordered. The massive dreadnought began to disintegrate, secondary explosions rippling through its hull. Stone watched as the mile-long vessel collapsed into a cloud of debris, its destruction sending shock waves through the Council fleet. "Council ships broadcasting again," the communications officer reported, now grinning outright. "They're requesting we hold fire to discuss terms." Stone glanced at the tactical display. The once mighty Starhammer was nothing more than wreckage, and the remaining Council ships were scattered and disoriented. "Send the reply," he said, his tone icy. "Begin with who has the tiny fleet now." The remaining dreadnoughts and cruisers scrambled to form a defensive circle, their massive engines struggling to cover each other's vulnerabilities. "Status report," Stone commanded, his eyes locked on the display. 2 dreadnoughts and 12 cruisers still operational," Officer Miller replied. "They're calling for reinforcements." "All ships, execute Operation Hornet's Nest," Admiral Reed's voice came through the secure channel. "Don't let them regroup." Stone nodded. "Wolfpack Team Alpha with me. Time to show them what these tiny ships can really do." The Defender and its escorts accelerated toward the debris field, using the wreckage of the Starhammer as cover. Council sensors, designed for larger ships, struggled to track the human vessels among the chaos. "Enemy cruiser turning to face us," the tactical officer warned. "Perfect," Stone replied. "Deploy the decoys." Small drones launched from human ships, broadcasting signals that mimicked full-sized vessels. The Council's cruisers wasted valuable firepower on the fakes, leaving the real attackers untouched. "All ships, attack pattern Delta," Stone ordered. The Defender burst from cover, its new weapons already firing. The alien cruiser's shields flared as precise strikes pummeled it from unexpected angles. Before it could respond, the Defender was gone, hidden once more in the debris. Across the battlefield, other human Wolfpack teams mirrored these hit and run tactics, dismantling the Council fleet piece by piece. Multiple FTL signatures detected, Miller called out suddenly. Reinforcements arriving. 3 additional dreadnoughts emerged from faster-than-light travel, their weapons charging. The Council commander's voice boomed across all channels. "Surrender now, humans. You cannot stand against our full might." Stone keyed his comm. "Admiral Reed, requesting permission to demonstrate our latest surprise." "Granted," Captain Reed replied. "Show them why our ships are small by choice, not limitation." Stone turned to his crew. "All ships, initiate Ghost Protocol." In unison, the human fleet activated advanced technology that phased their vessels into partial invisibility, confusing the Council's targeting systems. What is this sorcery?" the Council commander stammered as their once unshakable dominance began to crumble. The commander's voice faltered, his confidence waning. "What is this sorcery?" he demanded. "Just something we developed on our primitive world," Stone replied with calm resolve. "When you grow up on a planet full of predators, you learn the importance of staying hard to spot." The Defender and its Wolfpack team maneuvered through the Council fleet's formation like phantoms, their weapons striking with pinpoint accuracy. Meanwhile, the Council's massive ships fired futilely at sensor ghosts, their shots scattering aimlessly into space. "Multiple targets breaking formation," Miller reported with clear satisfaction. "They're starting to panic, sir." Stone watched as yet another Council cruiser crumbled under the concentrated fire of his fleet. The once mighty alien vessels, unable to properly track their nimble attackers, resorted to firing blindly, their desperation palpable. "Message from Earth Command," the communications officer announced. "The Council's backup fleet is refusing to enter the system. They're requesting to observe from a safe distance." Laughter rippled through the bridge, and Stone allowed himself a small chuckle before resuming his professional demeanor. "Let them watch. Show them everything. Let them see exactly what these tiny ships can do." The battle raged on, but its outcome was no longer in question. The Council ships, their arrogance shattered alongside their formation, began retreating. Dreadnoughts, once symbols of invincible power, fled from ships a fraction of their size. Sir Miller said with a grin, "Should we tell them we haven't even shown them our best tricks yet?" Stone shook his head, smiling faintly. "Let them wonder. The best predators always keep a few secrets in reserve." Around them, the stars seemed to shine brighter, as if acknowledging humanity's rise from a dismissed backwater species to a force that could no longer be ignored. Standing on the bridge of the Defender, Captain Stone watched the last Council dreadnought limp away, its once proud engines flickering and silent. "Admiral Reed is hailing all ships," Miller announced. "The Council's main fleet has arrived at the system's edge." Stone tensed, but the follow-up made him smile. "They're keeping their distance, sir. Apparently they're requesting permission to enter our space." The bridge crew exchanged satisfied looks. The mighty Council fleet, which had never before sought permission to move anywhere, was now treating Earth's territory with careful respect. "Show me their fleet status," Stone ordered. On the main display, a tactical map revealed the remains of the Council's attack force. Debris from destroyed ships floated in orbit, while only 1 damaged dreadnought and 4 cruisers remained operational. The rest had either been destroyed or had fled the system. "The surviving Council ships are forming a defensive circle," the tactical officer reported. "They're charging weapons again." Stone shook his head. "They still don't get it. Wolfpack teams, execute pattern Echo." In perfect coordination, 5 groups of human ships moved through the battlefield. Their small size allowed them to weave through the debris fields created by the battle, evading detection. "Enemy dreadnought is broadcasting," Miller reported. "They're threatening to destroy Earth's moon unless we stand down." Stone's calm response was immediate. "Let's show them why that's a bad idea. All ships activate Ghost Protocol." Strike pattern Omega. Once again, the human fleet seemed to vanish, becoming indistinct shadows in space. The Council ships fired wildly at sensor echoes, their enormous weapons unable to land a single meaningful hit. Priority transmission from Council High Command, Miller announced suddenly. Level 1. Stone nodded. On screen, Council Leader Dax appeared, his multiple eyes devoid of their former arrogance. Captain Stone, he began, his voice strained. Perhaps we should discuss terms. Stone's reply was measured. Perhaps you should have discussed terms before sending ships to conquer us. But please continue. We're listening. As if punctuating his words, 2 human Wolfpack teams coordinated a strike against the remaining Council dreadnought. Its shields flickered and failed as precise impacts targeted its most vulnerable points. This is impossible, Dax stammered. Your ships are too small to carry such weapons. Size isn't everything, Stone said evenly. We tried to tell you that 3 months ago. The tactical display showed more Council ships arriving at the system's edge, but this time they held their distance. Word of the battle was spreading across the galaxy, and the humiliation of the Council's containment fleet was now a matter of public record. The Council formally requests a ceasefire, Dax said, his tone humble. We acknowledge Earth's right to defend its space. Stone studied the tactical display, observing as the remaining Council ships powered down their weapons. At last it seemed they understood the futility of their position. Admiral Reed accepts your ceasefire, Stone replied, his voice firm. But let this be clear, Earth will not be anyone's protectorate. We will join the galactic community as equals or not at all. As Dax's image disappeared, the bridge erupted in cheers. Months of preparation, of enduring ridicule and underestimation, had culminated in a decisive victory. Humanity had stood against the galaxy's strongest power and prevailed. Message from Luna Base, Miller reported. Ambassador Walker wants to know if we'd like him to draft terms for the Council's surrender. Stone smiled. Tell him yes. And remind him to include a clause about judging ships by their size. As the human fleet regrouped around Earth, Stone watched the Council ships retreat. The massive vessels, once symbols of unstoppable might, now seemed awkward and vulnerable. Sir, the tactical officer asked, should we tell them about our other technological surprises? Stone's smile deepened. No, let them wonder. The greatest strength often lies in what your opponent thinks you might be capable of. The stars seemed to gleam in silent agreement as humanity's fleet stood victorious. In space, as in nature, it was not always the largest creatures that were the most dangerous. Representatives, Stone wasn't surprised. The smaller species of the galaxy, long dismissed by the Council, had watched humanity's victory with intense interest. Earth's triumph over the Council's massive dreadnoughts had sparked hope among those who had always been overshadowed. The Council acknowledges its error in judgment, Dax said cautiously. We propose new terms for Earth's membership. Earth will set its own terms, Walker interrupted firmly, his voice unwavering. And we speak not just for ourselves but for all species who have been overlooked due to their size or perceived technological inferiority. Murmurs filled the chamber as Stone noticed several representatives of smaller species nodding in agreement. The political dynamics of the galaxy were shifting before his eyes. We have reviewed your surrender terms, Dax continued, struggling to maintain a sense of dignity. They are unconventional. They are fair, Walker replied sharply. Earth seeks no dominance, unlike some. We demand only equality and respect, both for ourselves and for others. The holographic display shifted, showcasing Earth's latest ship designs. Though still smaller than the Council's colossal vessels, no one dared call these ships primitive anymore. Their compact designs now commanded admiration instead of scorn. Furthermore, Walker continued, Earth will host a conference for all species interested in our defensive technologies and tactics. Military effectiveness should not be judged by size alone. That announcement sent ripples through the chamber. Representatives of smaller species signaled their enthusiasm, while the larger powers shifted uncomfortably in their seats. "You can't share military technology," one council member protested, their voice breaking with anxiety. "That's against council regulations." Walker smiled, a glint of defiance in his eyes. The same regulations that allowed powerful species to bully smaller ones. Those rules are about to change. Stone watched as more representatives from smaller species stood in support, the council's power structure beginning to crumble. The long-held belief that bigger meant better was collapsing under the weight of Earth's victory. A message from Earth Command, Miller whispered to Stone. 32 more worlds have requested diplomatic relations with Earth. Most are species the Council classified as minor powers. Walker's voice carried through the chamber. The galaxy is evolving. The era of judging civilizations by the size of their ships is over. Earth extends its hand in friendship to all who seek genuine cooperation. The chamber erupted in discussion. Stone could see the future reshaping itself, a galaxy where smaller species stood proud, where ingenuity and strategy replaced the crude metrics of size and power. "The Council will need time to consider these changes," Dax said weakly, his earlier arrogance replaced by caution. "Take all the time you need," Walker replied. "Earth's fleet will be standing by. Our tiny ships will gladly provide protective oversight." The irony of using the Council's own words was not lost on anyone in the chamber. As Stone and Walker exited, they could hear the beginnings of what would grow into a galactic revolution. Sir Miller reported as they walked, "The Defender crew is asking when we'll start training other species in our tactics." Stone allowed himself a small smile. "Tell them soon." Very soon he glanced back at the humbled council chamber. The biggest changes often start with the smallest ships. 6 months after the Battle of Sol, the view from Earth's new galactic embassy was breathtaking. Captain Stone stood beside Admiral Reed, watching ships of all sizes move through space. Small vessels once mocked, now flew proudly alongside massive dreadnoughts. "Another training group graduating today," Reed said, pointing to a formation of smaller ships executing Ghost Protocol maneuvers. "These ones are from the Proxima Alliance." Stone nodded with pride. The Proxima Alliance, a coalition of formerly marginalized species, had embraced Earth's strategies and ship designs. Their fleets, similar in size to Earth's, now moved with deadly precision. "Status report from the diplomatic section," Miller announced, approaching with a datapad. 7 more worlds have left the Council's protective oversight. They've requested membership in the Free Systems Coalition. The Free Systems Coalition had become Earth's alternative to the Council's empire. Unlike the Council, it welcomed members regardless of their size or perceived power. Every species had something to contribute. "Show me the latest fleet exercises," Stone requested. The main display lit up, revealing a remarkable sight: ships from 20 different species moving in seamless coordination. Smaller vessels darted between larger ones, each leveraging its strengths rather than attempting to match the Council's outdated philosophy of bigger is better. Message from Ambassador Walker, Miller added. "The Council has finally agreed to the new trade terms. They're also dismantling their size-based classification system." Stone smiled faintly. The Council, once so dismissive, was now learning the hard lessons of underestimation. Their massive ships still patrolled space, but with newfound respect for the smaller vessels they had once ignored. "How are the joint development projects coming along?" Reed asked. "Exceeding expectations," Sir Miller replied. "Centauri engineers have integrated their advanced shields with our Ghost Protocol systems. Arctos scientists have improved our missile guidance systems. Even former Council worlds are contributing." Through the embassy windows, Stone observed a group of Council diplomats hurrying to a meeting. Once proud of their massive ships, they now moved with a newfound awareness of the smaller beings around them. Report from Earth Defense Command, Miller continued. "The new shipyards are at full capacity. 15 species have already adopted our design philosophy. Trade routes, once dominated by enormous cargo ships, were now thriving with swarms of smaller, faster vessels. Planets previously dismissed as minor were showcasing technologies the Council had long ignored. "Sir," a young officer called. "The Defender crew is asking about the anniversary celebration." Stone turned from the window. In a week they would mark 1 year since the Council had first mocked Earth's fleet. The celebration would include representatives from hundreds of worlds, each with their own story of triumph over prejudice. "Tell them it's confirmed," Stone replied. "All ships from the smallest scout to the largest dreadnought are welcome to join the formation parade." Admiral Reed chuckled. "Quite a change from last year, isn't it? Remember how they laughed at our ships?" Stone nodded. The laughter stopped quickly once they saw what those ships could do. But the real victory wasn't just defeating them, it was showing the galaxy a better way. Through the window, a new class of ships caught his attention. These vessels, incorporating technologies from numerous allied species, represented a perfect balance of size and capability. "Message from the Council observation post," Miller said. "They're requesting permission to send observers to our next tactical training session. They say they're ready to learn." Stone exchanged a knowing look with Reed. In just 6 months, the galaxy had changed more than it had in the past millennium. The era of judging civilizations by size was over. "Permission granted," Stone said. "And remind them of what we learned long ago. It's not the size of the ship, but the skill of the crew and the strength of their cause that truly matter." As he watched the ships maneuvering through space, Stone reflected that humanity's greatest victory had not been defeating the Council's fleet. It had been proving that strength comes in all sizes and that even the smallest ships could change the course of history.